Okay, well, we start 1-0 right now, so we're looking forward to going to Tempe this weekend. You look back at last week's game, you know, obviously struggled in a couple parts of it, but mainly the penalties, killer penalties takes points off the board really. But I thought we played very well possession time. We had a lot of third down and short conversions. We had 9 times we went third down and short, which is sort of uncommon in this day and age. So controlled the possession time, 37 minutes. Got some big plays, a lot of explosive plays, 10 explosive plays on the day as well offensively. So did some good things, but then we set ourselves behind a little bit with some penalties. Then we got to protect our quarterback better and run it up between the tackles a little bit more effectively, I feel. Defensively, only 4 big plays given up, but they sort of controlled, on a number of occasions, controlled the drive with some plays that, you know, creating some 3rd and 2 situations themselves. So, but shut down the big play. I thought we stopped the run, played pretty effectively, got some big plays towards the end of the game there, obviously, a couple sudden changes as well. So, found a way to win, basically. Great play by Bocci at the end, great play by Felton Davis at the end. Special teams pretty much, I would say, you know, Cole Haan kicks off in the end zone, but beyond that, pretty standard. And then we turn our attention to Arizona State, which is going to be exciting to go down there in a venue. I think it's going to be very exciting. Been to the Fiesta Bowl numerous times, so it's being exciting to go back. Should be a great Spartan group there. They're honoring Darryl Rogers, I see, as well. So that'll be exciting to be a part of that as well. So I'll take some questions, go from there.
Coach, preparation this week, not just on the field, but with the heat, it's a dry heat, Arizona, the cramping that happened in week 1 already. What's your approach with nutrition, hydration, how you go over that with your players, your training staff, and has that changed since you first arrived here?
Yeah, it's changed. It's, you know, Sally Noodle, our trainer, really handles that. There's a lot more than just dehydration that causes cramps, I think, as you learn more about it. But you know, we're practicing it hot and humid up here, so it'll be 90 and humid here the next couple of days. So hopefully that'll get us a little bit indoctrinated. And I think you know, when you play the first game of the season, it's different than practice. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. You can work at it, but it is different than practice. And so we'll just have to see how it all shakes out down there. But we'll be ready to go.
Mark, 2 questions. I'll ask one at a time. The first one is about a win is a win. And you're also able to still keep a lot of things in the cupboard that you worked on this summer, changes for later in the season. Is that also another benefit of a first game? A win is a win, but you still didn't have to show all your new stuff.
Well, I think, you know, I think we're always changing. I think every week, that's what we work 80 hours a week. You're always changing and bringing new things forward from the playbook and things of that nature. So I would say that we're probably accurate.
And secondly, tight end was down last year. Production at the tight end position was down again last week. Is that a concern to you, or is it a trend that maybe you see it going that way?
Well, production is play in and play out to me. You know, it's how you block, it's how you catch the football, run your routes, and you know, you can't say, hey, you got to throw the ball to this guy. You know, you got to take what's available. You got to take what's, you know, in terms of your reads as a quarterback. So I don't think that his production's down. I just think that, you know, we've got other guys we're throwing to as well. So, I mean, you got a variety of targets out there, and everybody gets opportunities, it looks.
I have 2-2, or 2 also.
That's the standard, I guess.
I guess.
Go ahead, though.
You hate 2 at once, so.
I can remember the second one, I'll answer it.
Following up what you said about games being different, does practice change in this week? Do you get more out of it because the players have something to see tangibly that they need to improve on, as opposed to knocking heads on?
I think 2 things enter into that. One, you know what you need to improve on, and 2, you see what the opposing team is really doing. It's not so much of a forecast. You have at least a tangible thing you can look at and say, this is who's playing, this is what's going on, this is what they do. You do your best on opening games, but you know, opening games is a challenge sometimes. So I thought Utah State came in here very well prepared, had an opportunity to win a football game, but at the same time, you know, we probably should score 46 points and not give them a touchdown on a throw, which makes it a completely different game. But it is what it is. But they played well. They should be commended for that. But you know, I do believe that you know, as you go through your season, you find out a little bit more about yourself and a little bit more about the people that you're going to play against as well.
It kind of touches on my second point. There seems to be a lot of scrutiny, maybe complaining about not winning by big enough, not being impressive enough. Does it bother you, or is that a byproduct of success?
Well, I just want to win a football game, so we're 1-0. As far as I'm concerned, we're always getting taken and pushed up the ladder, went 10-3 last year, so what are we going to do this year? And we got all these guys back and all these kind of things. Well, everybody's got a plan. Everybody's got good football players. They got guys on scholarship too, and everybody comes with an opportunity to win. So it's a struggle out there. It's challenging. I don't care who you play against. It's challenging. You look at the game last week against that Arizona State played. It's 14-0 almost until the end of the first half, and then they bust 2 in right before half. But it's a football game, and so there's challenges there as well. So everybody's going through these things. Very excited to getting out 1-0. We'll always take a win, but hey, you want to pound somebody 50-0. That's not happening too often, and it certainly hasn't happened here in my time here. We're just eking by, just trying to find those inches.
Mark, right here. You mentioned, I believe around camp, that the spring game would be important when scouting Arizona State just because of their new coaching staff and everything. With that in game one, and you just mentioned surprises on your end, there's going to be surprises from other teams early in the season, but just with the lack of general film on these guys under this staff, do you feel like you guys will be able to enter this game with the same level of sort of knowledge and preparation that you would a normal team?
I think it's the first time playing them, so you're not going to know them as well as you know somebody that you play year in and year out, know the changes and within your conference. But I think at the same time we do our very best to try and gather as much information as we can on their players, what they do, where they come from, the coordinator, where he's coming from. San Diego State coordinator comes to Arizona State, so we're watching San Diego State film. We have a full breakdown of San Diego State film, but we don't even play them. But that's the nature of it. You try to figure out, okay, they use these coverages and these fronts and these different pressures and things of that nature. But you have one game to go on. Certainly they don't show everything as well. So a lot of it is preparation on terms of what you're going to do and making sure that you're on task in terms of playing fast and playing aggressively and do what we do and do it well.
I meant to say earlier, do you have an update on Cole Chewins as well?
Cole, well, I don't really talk about injuries, but Cole is practicing, so we'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
Mark, have you heard anything from the Big Ten on Justin Lane at all? With the video caught him kind of throwing a punch. I don't know if there was anything that came from that from the league.
No.
Okay.
Did not hear it.
And secondly, can you kind of going back to the question with Cole, can you kind of address how you thought Luke played when you got to review the tape and the intricacies of moving Tyler in and out from center to the outside?
Yeah. Well, you've got an offensive line, and most people play 5 guys. So we've taken the approach that sometimes we play 7 or 8, and in doing that, people need to play other positions. And, that's a natural thing. So rather than we're going to always put our best players out there. And so, Luke flopped the left tackle. I thought he needs to play more on balance. He's a good athlete. He needs to be more on balance. I think part of playing offensive line is having both feet on the ground, certainly. When you get one off the ground, bad things happen. And he had that happen to him a number of times. So, again, you go back to Utah State. I mean, the defensive end, number 10, is a good player. Transferred from I believe, TCU, where he played as a redshirt or true freshman. So, he gave him some problems. But there are going to be other people that give him problems. He's been playing more right tackle than left, so maybe that enters into it. But he'll play better as time goes on, and he's a competitor, and he's got to get ready to play, just like all of our guys. I don't think we played our best football game by any stretch last Friday, but it's a starting point, and sometimes you need a starting point to send you off to.
Mark, you mentioned in the post game that the run game is a product of receivers blocking and running backs. It's the whole thing. When you kind of looked at it, how far away are you guys from getting it where you want to go on the push, and where is it?
I thought LJ ran well. I thought we had 9 times that we were 3rd and short. This gives you an indication that we're 4 yards, 4 yards, 4 yards. We ran the ball 42 times, I think. So we ran the ball. I mean, we made a concerted effort to run the ball. We didn't have the breakout runs till the end of the game, which everybody wants to say, hey, run that play again. I like that when he runs for 20 yards. It just doesn't happen like that. But he'll break them. I thought LJ ran well. I thought he ran effectively, ran hard. But there's got to be a little bit more creases in there at times. But they're getting a lot of people down too. So, in terms of defenses. So consequently, you're able to take shots down the field, which happened.
Mark, do you know Herm Edwards, and what's impressed you making the transition after all that time in pro football and in the broadcast booth?
Well, I do know Herm a little bit. I spent some time with him last year in Grand Rapids at a fundraiser, a charity golf thing, which I didn't golf, but anyway. Yeah, I like Herm Edwards. Good guy, you can tell that, got charisma. Says what he means, those type of things. I follow him from afar. I do remember when I was at the University of Kansas, that Herm was just getting into coaching and was a scout for the Chiefs, Marty Schottenheimer's team, and he was one of the guys that they were bringing him along as a defensive assistant. I think he was a defensive assistant at the time, and Dungy was a secondary coach there, and they had an unbelievable staff. But then went to Tampa Bay from there, and then on to the Jets, I guess, from there. So, I sort of followed him from afar, but I think he's done a great job. I think thus far, from what I see, transitioning to the college game, but he's one game in. It's a grind. That's all I'll tell him. So, but a good man.
Mark, back to the running game a little bit. When Connor got some of those opportunities in that second half, he really looked to have kind of that spark, like he was really going quick. Is that something where you can maybe get him some carries earlier, or does it just seem like it's that much different because maybe the line wasn't blocking as well earlier when LJ had the ball?
Yeah, I thought we played better as the game progressed. Had too much pressure early in the game. I thought we did a better job protecting the quarterback and then running the football as the game progressed. And I think Connor benefited from that. I just think on that particular play, he slid outside and then creased it. And then there were a couple of times on the option versus LJ's option got pulled back, brought back for some reason. And then we ran it again basically and kind of went in, same play.
Mark, when you mentioned earlier that you wanted to give Brian better protection, just based on Friday's film, you look at Arizona State getting 9 sacks in the first game, that number really stands out. What did you see from them that allowed them to get that? That's a concern to you guys.
Yeah, Arizona State, a lot of different looks, a lot of different pressures, a lot of different angles that they come at you with, so we've got to be prepared for that, got to protect our quarterback, different coverages. I think they're doing a nice job defensively. They're just into, really one game into what they're going to do, but it comes from San Diego State's coordinator coming over there, Danny Gonzalez. So we're going to find out more about our football team and their football team on Saturday night, but we have to protect the quarterback. They had 9 sacks, as you said, and numerous other quarterback hits.
Mark, with someone like Connor, obviously, made the most of his 5 carries last weekend. What's the sort of balancing act, I guess, between maybe wanting to give a guy more touches if he's earned them and sort of also wanting to maybe preserve the element of surprise in this game?
I think that, Connor's our number 2 tailback right now. He's not bracketed as the number 1. He's a very good player. When he earns that opportunity, if he's bracketed, that'll be something that we discuss at that time. But right now, LJ's our number 1 tailback, and so we'll ride that horse right now. But we've got not only him, but Weston Bridges. I've been impressed with Elijah Collins and Ladarius Jefferson as well. So we really will bring all 5 of those tailbacks to the game and see what happens. And I'm not, I'm going to play whoever's pulling the load, basically. So when and if it comes time to play somebody different, we will do that. But I don't foresee that. I thought LJ played pretty well as well. But gives us another guy to go to, and at times we have both of them in the game, which is a positive.
Hi, Coach. Back here.
Hi.
Hi. They say that, the college football season is a marathon, not a sprint. So after such kind of an emotional opening season win, how do you keep the team mellowed and just kind of level-headed going forward?
Well, I think our football team has got a dose of reality. In all honesty, I think that step back, they probably thought that they were going to come in and play a little bit better than they did, or thought maybe Utah State didn't have the football team maybe that they did. A combination of one or the other. And so I think our players are poised and understand what they need to do. So I don't think we're on a high right now that says that we're not going to be prepared for this football game. We're going to, we have our challenges with an away game, a long plane flight, the heat obviously, although I think that we would play in a different type of environment here. It's hot and humid, 90 and humid, so it's drier heat down there. We're going to find out. So there's a lot of challenges waiting for us down there, and I think that's good for our football team at this point in time, and we'll look forward to the challenges.
What the media and Mark, what the fan base say after a game can't be considered terribly relevant as you and the staff get a team ready for a game, I realize. But how would the coaching staff's evaluation of Friday night differ, let's say, from prevailing outside critiques?
Well, again, I think I tried to address that already. I think that there's some good things, in every football game, there's good things you should do and there's other things that you got to do better. We're on the 1-inch yard line. I'm talking from me to this microphone. And when you say, don't jump off sides, don't jump off sides, and you jump off sides, that's a problem. And all of a sudden, we take a sack, and now we're kicking a field goal. So that takes points off the board. You throw an interception for a touchdown, let's put points on the board. You're down on the 1 yard line, and you get the wrong signal coming, you get the wrong wristband call, or miscall of formation, and you have a guy off the line, and it takes a touchdown off, which should have been a toss sweep to the left. That's a problem. So those type of communication errors can't happen. But that's taking points off the board and making us kick field goals, which again I say that's 8 points. You take that out of the picture, along with the 3rd and 2 where we jumped off sides. The complexion of the game changes dramatically. It's not a 40-0 shot, but it's probably somewhere 14, 17 point differential. So you look at those aspects, and then you look on the defensive side of the ball and ask yourself, well, could you have done this better or that better? And your answers are yes. So we're not negating what Utah State did. Like I said, they're to be commended. I think they have a good football team. I think that quarterback's the real deal. But at the same time, we did some things that were what I would call unforced errors, where we were our own worst enemy. So, on the one interception, the wide receiver slips on his turn. Defensive back makes a great play. He might have got it anyway, but, it is sort of what it is. So, my perception is we can play better. We will play better. We've always had these type of games, first game out of the box, it seems. And if you go back in 2013 and you look at how our football team progressed, or 2015, you look at how our football team progressed, those are the things that you hope that are going to happen. There are no guarantees for that, but that's what you hope is going to happen. Thank you.
Mark, I was just curious about the defensive rotations. A lot of players played on the D-line, a lot of linebackers, not as much in the secondary. Is that just younger guys behind them, or a concentrated decision, I guess, on the staff's part? Just was curious what went into that.
Really getting them on and off the field at that point in time, with the hurry-up offense that they were running at that time. So, no, we'll play other guys.
Mark, a question about going west. I think since you've been here, just Oregon and Cal, the 2 times you've gone west early in a season like this, what are the challenges of that when it's not a bowl game? You don't have a week, because you don't see teams across the country one way or another and have a terrible amount of success.
Well, we've gone to Oregon, we went to Cal. Those are their 2 West Coast games that we went to. So we're always trying to figure it out. Oregon, we went a day early, played well in the first half, not so well in the second half. Cal, thought we hung in there with them. We stayed on Eastern times. I still remember my girls wanted to go out. Not far, they just want to go see what California looked like. I said, hey, it's 11:30 here, it's 8:30, but it's 11:30 Eastern time, we're going to bed. So we tried it that way too. So we'll have a plan. We have a plan in place on how to handle it. It's a 10:45 game. We scrimmaged one time this summer in the stadium. We scrimmaged about it. We got done at 11:30. So we scrimmaged at night. They seem to be fine with it. So we'll try and get ourselves ready to go and be on the clock and all that kind of stuff. But there are challenges, but there are challenges waiting for us every week. So it's just one of those things. I don't make a big deal about it. We're just going to go, we're going to play, and we're going to play fast. That's my mentality.
Mark, obviously it's a homecoming for
It's the
Brian.
longest press conference maybe we've ever had.
It's a
Go
homecoming-
ahead.
It's a
This,
homecoming
this,
for Brian.
this phone's getting hot up here.
I call mine.
Yeah.
Brian gets to go home, and you gotta obviously coach some nerves sometimes when a guy has to go home in front of a big crowd and friends and family. I guess, what do you tell him, and what you saw late in that game? I mean, is that just how he is? I mean, will he be?
Oh, yeah, he'll be
calm?
fine, you know, he's gonna be fine, you know, he's had an opportunity to play in big games here, and, huge national games. And so he'll have an opportunity to play in another one back home, and I think he's excited about it, and I think he brings a little bit of how you play down there, and the mentality, you know, from a mindset, what you gotta do to play in the heat a little bit, you know, he brings that mentality with him, and he'll bring that for all of us. So, he's a little bit of a source of information too.
Last one for Ryan.
Coach, you touched on this a little bit earlier, with 9 sacks for Arizona State. You had your own issues picking up, identifying blitzes that were coming at you from Utah State. Take us through what that approach is when Brian comes to the line of scrimmage. If Tyler's at center, if Matt Allen's at center, who calls that out? What needs to improve communication-wise to pick up those blitzes?
Well, first of all, there's all different types of protections you use in college football or in football in general. So it's a matter of shoring up the protection relative to the concepts that you're going to use that particular or those particular plays. So that could be anywhere from a variety of things. So I think one of the most important things is you know, deciding what we're going to do prior to the game, and then you know, transitioning to the game itself and implementing those things. So there's a variety of ways to do it. Some of it's man, you know, some of it comes down to, hey, you got to block this guy. That's your guy. You got to block him. And otherwise, other times you're going to get help. So we need to just format it so that we're in a best case scenarios. Sometimes it's the rhythm of the quarterback, and that depends on what type of play you have coming. You know, is it play action? Is it 3-step? Is it an RPO? Is it 5-step protection? What is it? All those type of things. So there's a lot of variables, I think, that go along with that. So I'm filibustering.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks.